as a part of an interview process, actually one of the panelists came to me and said, Lenna, they're worried about the way you dress. I was not going to get the role because of the way that I looked.
When I transitioned from somebody called David into who I really am, Rachael, I found people's attitudes change quite dramatically.
Of having comments from line managers that I've worked with in the past telling me that I will never be a successful people leader or business leader because of being LGBT.
My perception of LGBTQIA+ in the workplace is about creating safety for people in the workplace, that they can come to work and they can feel their true self every day, feeling they belong, ultimately. So I'm a gay man and I've got children, so quite often that raises an eyebrow if I meet people, and it's kind of explaining that, which I think for an individual having to do that with meeting new people sometimes can create that anxiety.
When I used to present as David, people listened a lot more willingly to what I had to say, which doesn't make sense because I'm the same person, my experiences are exactly the same, my qualifications, my academic experience hasn't been devalued, because I've just chosen to be honest with people and say, look, I'm not a man called David, I'm actually an intersex female called Rachael.
You could be discriminated against based on the perception of who you are rather than who you identify as.
The element of microaggression and constant determination around it just makes you feel like a really small person in organizations to begin with. It takes away the power and some of the control you have over even your own emotions. It doesn't create an environment of psychological safety where I as an individual can contribute fully to the extent of my ability.
When we're asking people to hide who they really are and something that is core to the very personal identity, what we find is that people restrain themselves, that they're not as open, they're not as honest as they can be. And there's always this barrier that they have to place in front of themselves and the people that they interact with. And it's definitely not a good way to allow people to perform to their true potential. And as long as we're holding people back from being authentic, as a business, we're doing damage to ourselves.
The impact for business organisations and companies on not having role models is that I think firstly attraction of people to want to work for those companies. I think if you don't see somebody like you and you don't see that that's a place where your perception is that it's okay and you're going to be comfortable in that organisation before you've applied, I think that's a really important thing. If you recruit people, you want them to stay with you want them to be loyal, and you want it to provide them a welcoming environment for them to work in.
I think when you've got an organisation that creates that open, welcoming, engaging community environment, then people stick around. What I want to see in organisations, and managers in particular, but generally as an organisation as a whole from a holistic strategic level at the top point, to create spaces where people feel included.
It's time for more empathetic, supportive leadership out there that we should be driving forward. That will also guide us with changing the diversity of the type of leaders that we have. That will create a representation for LGBTQI+ people.
We as managers and people in this work in these areas need to be doing is making sure that we learn better so that we can pass on better behaviour. You don't have to agree with everybody to have respect for a person.